Good afternoon and welcome to our June Keys Penguin Habitat. My name is Frankie and I'm an aviculturist here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. And right now I'm about to feed the very few penguins that you can see around me. We do have 23 birds in this habitat, but it sounds like everyone's in their burrows right now, and that's alright. This is just a midday feed. They will get one more feed towards the end of the day. Each and every one of our birds will eat either capelin or herring. And right now we are in our pre-molt season. Molting is when these birds will replace all of their feathers. They have about 75 feathers per square inch. And then about a 3-day period, 2 to 3 day period, they'll push out all the old feathers and replace them with new feathers. So that's a couple million feathers and a really stressful experience for them. So these days are a little unpredictable for us. 3 of our birds, I think, that are all surrounding me. We have Dee, Wally, and Cleo in the water are our babies. They're not babies anymore. They were once young. They're our youngest birds. They went through their first molt this past August. And so they look a little bit more fresh than the other birds. They're not as brown as, say, the other birds who are about to be molting soon. But anyway, I'm going to sign off and do this feed, and I'll check back in with you all in just a moment. As I mentioned just a few moments ago, my name is Frankie and I'm an aviculturist here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. We are doing our second feed of the day, and since we're in a little bit of an in-between season, the birds aren't as hungry as they might be at other times of the year. So I'm just going to take this moment of them not being too starving to talk a little bit about our penguins. These are Magellanic penguins, which are in the banded penguin family, along with the African, Galapagos, and Humboldt penguins. They all look kind of similar, but these Magellanics are the biggest of the 4 species, and they're found off the coast of Chile and Argentina. We do have 4 Brazilian rescues. They're called Brazilian rescues because they were found about 3,000 miles too far north, just at one of the highest points of Brazil. and they were deemed non-releasable. So we have Kate, Avery, Robbie, and Roxy, none of which are out right now. But about 8 or 9 years ago when we opened up this habitat, that was the same time that their stranding happened, and we were able to take in those 4, while the other 12 or so birds were distributed to other facilities. And now they play a crucial role in our Species Survival Plan, or our SSP. In their natural habitat, Magellanic penguins are not in any critical status, but we do have an SSP, Species Survival Plan, just to ensure that genetics are strong within zoos and aquariums. So there is an opportunity for these guys to last with the genetics that we have right now for just over 230 years, if so long as there's no inbreeding or siblings or parent and child reproducing. Now, it does happen where they pair up, but with birds, it's a little bit easier to manage a population. This year, we in fact did that with all of our birds. We didn't have any chicks this year, even though there were eggs laid. We were able to make a decision that we weren't going to have any chicks, so then we replaced all of the real eggs with dummy eggs this year, which is a normal and easy, simple practice to manage a population. And so that's what we would do if there were siblings or other closely related birds that paired up. And that just helps us ensure that the genetics within all of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums are very well spread out. And actually, Roxy, one of the Brazilian rescues, just came out of her burrow. You might not be able to see her. She kind of has a little bit of a balding head. She's going to go through her molt pretty soon. But in the wild, these animals, there's a little over 2 million breeding pairs. So that puts us in pretty close to 4 million birds, whereas their cousins, the African penguins, aren't doing so well. In South Africa, there are only about less than 40,000 birds. So 4 million, 40,000 birds that are left out in the wild there. So there's actually an incredible program called SandCob SandCob takes in many birds every single season. They don't have as specific of a breeding cycle as the Magellanic penguins do, and they're in January. So if you're interested in reading a little bit more about that, check out our social media pages, and you can see just what a difference this organization does for the African penguins. But thankfully, Magellanics are doing okay. There's always the chance of their habitats being affected by one way or another by humans, but for now they're doing all right. And if you can hear Matson calling, well, he's stopped now, but Matson was just calling, and they have a donkey-like bray, which is very similar across all of the banded penguin species. And basically, they just will make that long, long noise, and that could be a contact call to their mate. They could be trying to say something. There are a lot of gulls above. But this is a very irritable time here in the June Keys penguin habitat because most of the birds are going to be molting soon, so they just will call out if they want to. It happens at different times of the years, but sometimes they'll make a long noise like he just did over here, or a shorter, quick little contact call to find their mate. But that is a little bit about our penguins. I am going to finish up this feed here since no one is all that interested. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask anyone inside of wearing a blue polo. And enjoy your time here. Thanks so much for coming out. Actually, there was one thing that I didn't mention. If you notice that the birds all have a band on their flippers, right or left side, the right means they're a boy and the left means they're a girl. And you can check out the signs on both sides of the habitat and figure out which penguin is which. Right now, Shim and Matson are figuring out who gets to take over that territory, which is why they're billing each other. But if you see a bird that does not have a band on, that's because it's about to molt. And when they molt, they get just a little bit more swollen. And we want to make sure that there's no restrictions. So sorry about that if you connect with the bird without a band, but try and find one and ID the bird as you continue looking at our penguins.